Hey everybody, today we're gonna go over possibly the easiest way to cook a brisket on the Weber Kettle. We're doing the snake method. Let's go. Now the snake method is where you set up coals along the outside of the Weber Kettle, you light one end and it's gonna slowly burn over the life of the cook. Before we show you how we set up and get that started, let's get this brisket trimmed up so we can get over to the grill. I'm starting with this 12.5 pound choice brisket from Costco. We're gonna open this up and trim her down. All right, let's get this trimmed up. We're gonna start just by hacking off some of this thin side here because it is not gonna cook up well. That'll burn up and not be eatable. Edible. Start taking this big hunk of fat off here. Now we're gonna round this off as well just so we can get a nice uniform shape. And I strongly recommend if you do a decent amount of briskets, save that trim, make some beef tallow, grind it up for some burgers, start diving into sausage making. It's really, really fun and it's really good too. This is still a little thinner than I like, so we're just gonna kind of come around here as well. Now there's kind of a gash here, so we definitely want to get all this out of here. Plus this is hard fat that's not gonna really render down during the cook. So let's get it out of there. Any little dangly knobs like this, get them out of there. Now I don't worry a ton about getting all the silver skin off or anything like that, but if there's a lot, just get underneath it and pull it away. Let's take a quick look at the back side here. Like anything that sticks up like this, you want to get rid of. You got a big hunk of hard fat here. I'm gonna get rid of this. This is all fat right here. This is actually looking pretty good right now. We're only trimming for backyard cook, so we're not even gonna worry about making this picture perfect, but I'm gonna tell you, this is looking really nice right now. So it's time to get it seasoned up. First step we're gonna do is hit it with a little bit of a mustard binder. You're not gonna taste it. I really wasn't a mustard binder fan for a while, but I've been using it on my briskets and it really has been giving me great results. And I don't know if that's just because they've been good cooks or if the mustard binders help. So I'm just gonna keep running with it because it's working. Start with some kosher salt and we're gonna hit this pretty liberally. Again, huge chunk of meat here. It can take a lot of seasoning. Now we're gonna fire it up with some coarse black pepper. And the last layer, we're gonna hit it with some Lowry seasoned salt. Get an extra pop of flavor and saltiness on here. Now this was the meat side. Let's flip it over and do the fat side. Now the fat side is the side that we're gonna be cooking up, so that's why we're doing it second. Now same thing, salt, pepper, and Lowry's. Then the pepper. Try to get all these sides evenly here. Last, the Lowry's. Brisket seasoned. Let's get over to the Weber Kettle, show you how we set it up for the snake method. This has always been one of my favorite methods. I don't know why I haven't done a video on it sooner. Thanks for the idea, Walia7016. He left a comment on one of my other videos, the Weber Kettle brisket. So let's go get the Weber set up. So we're gonna start on this end and we're just gonna set down one briquette right about there. And we're just gonna follow it all the way around. You wanna kinda keep these nice and close together because what's gonna happen is you're gonna light one side and it's gonna slowly burn around like a snake. So you don't want this fire dying out on you mid-cook. And then start another line right next to it. If we wanna build on more at the end, we can when we have this set up. Not gonna use these broken ones. You wanna make sure you leave a nice gap in here. We're gonna put some lit coals right here. and then it's gonna burn all the way around. You don't want it too close to this side or else they're both gonna start up and then your flame's gonna get too hot. We're gonna do one more final layer around the top. Then we have some hunks of pecan wood. Just gonna throw those around here as well. Get some added smoke flavor in here. And I like to keep a pan in there because the brisket's gonna sit right over the top of it, and it honestly just helps keep the grill cleaner. Let's go add these lit coals. I have 8 briquettes here that I'm just gonna dump right here at the front of it. And I'm gonna kind of stack these up just so we get all that fire starting right up front here. And this is why you don't want it too close to here, because like I said before, you don't want this side starting up at the same time as this side. You want this to go low and slow all the way around. Now this is a 26-inch Weber. I know most people have the 22-inch, but use the same theories to this and it's gonna come out great. And let's get our grate back on. Close it up. Got the top on, vent on top's all the way open right now. We're gonna let that grate come up to temperature. The bottom vent is about halfway open. That's where I'm gonna keep it for the whole cook. Once this gets up to the right temperature, I'm gonna crack that top vent down about to a quarter or a third of the way open and just let it roll. So I'm hoping to keep this between 250, 275, even 300 the whole cook. And we should have a nice looking brisket. We'll be back when it's time to throw this brisket on. Got a nice little flame burning here. We know that that's gonna catch up and roll all the way along here. Let's get our brisket on. Now I am gonna kind of scooch this over a little bit away from the fire, just so it's not right on top of it. But once we close this up, it's gonna dome over really nicely. I do have my Typher temp probe in there. Let's close her down and let it get cooking. So now we have the fire started over here. We're gonna rotate this. So as that fire burns, it's gonna come over the top and come out. I'm gonna shut this down to about halfway. And now we're just gonna let it cook. So I'm not gonna open it, I'm not gonna check it unless that temp probe spikes up and tells me something crazy's going on, or the coals went out, or it's 500 degrees. That's when I'll check. As of now, if you're looking, you ain't cooking. Especially with the Weber Kettle, you open the top, all that heat leaves immediately. Hopefully 3, 4, 5 hours from now will be the first time we check. So we'll be back then, show you what it looks like. All right. This is actually going smoother than I thought. It's about 5.5 hours in. The only thing that I've been doing is rotating the top of the lid a little bit every hour or so to kind of keep the main heat spot on the opposite side of the vent on top. The internal temp of this brisket's reading at about 170. I think it's time to go take a look at it, see how we're doing, see if I messed up by not checking sooner. Let's go take a peek inside. Okay, it is getting a little close over here, so let's move this out of the way. See, I should have checked on that earlier. Other than that, this thing's looking great. Take a look, see. That's all good. Brisket's looking really nice. I'm gonna give it a rotate. Keep that fatter end near the heat source here. And I'm gonna close this back down for a little bit. But you can see here how far that charcoal's burned off going along the way. Now we're here, I'm gonna close this up so this doesn't get out of control. That's it. I think I'm gonna let it go for another hour or so, let that bark continue to build a little bit. Then we'll come back, wrap it, and put it in for the home stretch. Brisket's gone about another hour and a half, just short of an hour and a half, and we've clearly hit the stall because we're reading in the mid 160s. Where earlier we were in the low 170s, so you know that fat's rendering, cooling things down. We're gonna push it through, wrap it up. Let's go take a quick look at the brisket right now. Pull this out before the wrap. She's looking absolutely gorgeous. Oh man, look at how pillowy that is. Wow, that fat's rendering beautifully on here. Okay, let's get this off and wrapped up. Bark is looking great, super pillowy. Perfect time to wrap. Man, I'm loving how tender this top is. Get that temp probe back in here. It's feeling nice and tender. Now, while we've got this open and the brisket off, I'm gonna add some more coals to the end there because I'm not sure this is gonna have enough coals to finish the cook. It's been about 7 hours. I'm guessing we got 3, 4 more hours worth of coal there, so 10, 11 hours. I'm just gonna add a few more just to be safe. Now that I've added some extra charcoal on here, I'm saying we're gonna be safe. This has been about 7+ hours now. I'm guessing we have about 6, 7 more. I'm only thinking it's gonna need a handful more hours, 3, 4 maybe, before we pull it off. Still gonna put the fatter side near the heat. Again, be protected, but it's looking great so far. Let's close this back up. Keep that vent opposite side. That's it. Gonna keep letting it roll till it hits about 200, 203, and then we'll come out here, probe, see if it's tender, and then let it rest. So we'll be back in a couple hours when that temp gets up to where we want it. We're exactly 10 hours in on this cook. My thermometer just started going off saying it hit right around 200. So I'm gonna go take my instant read thermometer, probe it for tenderness, and see if it's time to pull off for the rest. Let's go check it out. Now at this point, there are a few layers of paper, but I still like to try to poke through. Oh yeah. Yeah, right at 202, and it is probing like a hot knife through butter. 195 in the point, and we're about 202, 203 in the flat. It is feeling super tender, so it's time to pull it off. We're gonna go put it in the house in a cooler, and we're just gonna let this rest for a bunch of hours. We're gonna come back when it's time to slice it and taste it and see how we did. Be back in a few, and it's time to slice and taste. Let's go. All right, we've got our brisket done. This cooked in the Weber with the snake method for about 10 hours. One of the easiest cooks I've done. Then took this, put it in a cooler, rest till it got to about 145 degrees internal, and that took hours to get to. I always suggest a long rest with these briskets. So let's open this up, see how we did. Oh yeah. Got some of that good jiggle in there. All right, let's slice in, see how we did. You have the flat meeting the point right about here. So that's where I'm gonna cut it right in half there. Oh, this is tender. Great smoke ring on there. Juicy, juicy, juicy. All right, let's take a couple slices off of the flat side. Look at that, look at that. Super tender, wow. Give it a try. Wow. This brisket is amazing. Holy cow. Perfect. And this was a choice brisket. This wasn't a fancy prime or wagyu or anything. Want to try the very tip here, see if that stayed moist, because that's usually a telltale sign how good you did. Take a look at that. The great fat render in there, the great color. I don't know if you could see, but it's still nice and juicy, super tender. Really no effort for this to come apart. Even the part that would be the driest typically came out great. Wow. That fat is rendered so perfectly. Let's cut into here, get some burnt ends. See how we did with this. This side did kind of char up a little bit, and I think that's because I didn't check for so long, and this was facing the heat. So you might want to rotate a little bit more, but when you look at this, again, this fat is perfectly rendered in here. Super tender and moist. Perfect. Try one of the best bites in barbecue here, one of the burnt ends. Look, if you have a Weber Kettle and you're not doing a snake method brisket, you're missing out. This brisket came out amazing. One of the best briskets I've cooked in a very long time. Definitely give it a try. Let me know what you think. If you like what we did here, please hit that like button. Leave a comment down below. Check me out on social media, and we will be talking to you all soon. Thanks again, everybody, for checking this out. We'll talk to you all later. Take care. Peace.